Hello, friends. Long ago, before people lit the night with lanterns and candles and cities, the sky was darker, deeper, emptier. In those days, there were no streetlights or neon signs or glowing screens. The sun went down early, the shadows grew long, and the chill of night crept in quickly. And in that vast silence lived a boy named Elior, who carried a brush made not of wood, but of light. With it, he scattered sparks across the heavens. He was the star painter, chosen to paint the sky every night to keep away the darkness. Every evening, Elior climbed the tallest mountain. From his satchel, he pulled jars of stardust, glowing softly like captured fireflies. With a sweep of his brush, he cast them across the canvas of the night. The stardust settled into shapes that glowed with a soft inner light. Elior loved to paint animals, sly foxes and lumbering bears, soaring eagles and leaping deer. There were no rules to his art. He could paint whatever he wished on that black velvet backdrop, and so he did. He painted pictures that told stories to the people below. Stories of hunters chasing beasts across the sky, of ships sailing the seas of sky, of lovers reaching for one another across infinity. One night, as Elior worked, he noticed a shadow creeping across the sky. It swallowed the stars he had painted, leaving emptiness in its wake. His brush flickered and his jars dimmed. He watched in horror as the darkness spread, consuming everything until the entire sky was empty. And then a voice spoke in his ear, a voice colder than the grave and darker than the void. Why light the sky when darkness is eternal? Why bring hope to the world when despair is all there will ever be? What use are your pretty lights when all will be lost to the unending night? Fear trembled in Elior's heart, but he remembered the villages below. Children looked up at his stars when they were afraid. Travelers guided themselves by their glow, and poets found dreams in their patterns. Elior took a deep breath and steadied his hand. Then he dipped his brush into the nearest jar of stardust and began to paint. At first, the shadow easily blotted out his light, but he didn't stop. As more stars faded, he painted more furiously. Each new constellation burned brighter than the last. The hunter became a god of the chase, the ship an ark of hope, the lovers entwined in a glorious blaze. The shadow recoiled, hissing as it shrank away from the encroaching light. But still it pressed forward, determined to snuff out Elior's flame. Hope flickered in Elior's chest. Maybe if he could just keep painting, maybe if he could make the brightest, most beautiful stars the world had ever seen, then the shadow might just retreat. So he thought of all the stories he had told with his stars, of all the lives he had touched with his art, and he knew what he had to do. He dipped his brush into the last jar of stardust and painted faster than ever before, creating shapes so bright that even the shadow flinched. As the last points of light spilled from his brush, he felt a sudden surge of energy. It wasn't the cool glow of the stardust. It was something warmer, something that burned with a fierce inner fire. He looked down to see what had happened. His hand, the hand he used to hold his brush, was glowing brightly, brighter than any star he had ever painted. A smile touched Elior's lips. He understood now. This was the true light, the light of courage, the light of hope, the light within him. With a last effort, he flung his arms wide and touched his fingertips to the sky. Light burst forth, filling the heavens. Stars, brighter than any before, filled the night. The constellations blazed with the warmth of a hearth, chasing away the encroaching chill. And then Elior faded. Some say he became the brightest star, the one that never moves, the northstar, guiding travelers through storms and endless nights. Others say he became the moon, watching over the world, keeping it safe in the darkness. But this much is certain, that from that day forward, the sky was never quite so dark again. When Elior began his task, the sky was empty and dark, and the only sounds were the wind and his own breathing. But as he painted, life returned to the heavens. Animals took flight. Lovers reached for one another. Ships set sail. Stories unfolded. And then came the music. At first it was faint, just a whisper on the wind, but it grew louder as the stars twinkled into existence. Now listen closely. Do you hear it? The harp of Orion, the drums of the Big Dipper, the flute of Cassiopeia, the lyre of the twins. All the instruments of the universe combine to tell the tale of the star painter and the shadow that haunts his dreams. Once upon a time, when the world was young, the celestial spheres were silent, for there were no beings to admire the beauty of the cosmos. Yet the Creator looked upon his handiwork and saw that it was good, and he wished to share this goodness with all the creatures of earth, so that even the humblest worm might lift up its head and marvel at the glory of the heavens. He took a golden harp and struck a chord, and the planets sang in harmony. He plucked the strings of a silver flute, and the comets danced in graceful arcs. And with a touch, he awakened the heart of the sun, which beat with a steady drum. And so it was that the music of the spheres filled the void of space, a symphony of light and color, a celebration of existence. Now, whenever the music fades and the stars grow dim, you know that the Shadow King draws near, for he hates the light and shuns the song. When he creeps across the sky, you can hear the discordant blare of his horn, a sound that chills the marrow and freezes the soul. For the Shadow King wishes to blot out the music and plunge the world into eternal darkness, so that only silence and despair will remain. But the Star Painter fights against him, scattering sparks of hope across the void. And when he paints, you can hear the faint strains of his harp, calling forth the light to banish the encroaching gloom. And if you listen very carefully, you can hear the music rising, growing stronger. A testament to the enduring power of light and love in the face of endless night. We told you the story of the Star Painter so that you will remember to find light in the darkness and hope in the despair. For even when the shadows grow long and the night seems endless, you have the power to chase them away. You have the power to paint your own stars. You have the power to make your own light. Believe in yourself and never give up. If you try hard enough, you can overcome any obstacle, even the darkest night. Just remember the story of the Star Painter. And now we will sing you a song. The Star Painter climbs the mountain high. His brush is light, his heart is bold. With every stroke, a star takes flight, and stories of old are told. He paints the hunter, swift and sure, the sailor brave, the lover true. Each star a gem, forever to gleam in skies of endless blue. Then, from the dark, a whisper comes, a chilling fear. A haunting sound, the Shadow King, with bated breath, across the heavens creeps around. He snuffs the light with icy might and leaves the world in endless night. But still, the painter, unafraid, with colors bright, a new array. He dips his brush in stardust bright and paints the dawn of coming light. The stars ignite, the darkness flees, and hope returns on painted wings. So, when the night is dark and deep, and shadows gather, cold and still, remember well the tale we tell of how the Star Painter, with his skill, can light the way, come what may, and turn the night to day.